Opposition targets test and go for spreading the virus as government insists on endemic status. Minister of Tourism and Sports Phiphat Ratchakitprakarn has also announced the postponement of the foreign tourist levy from April to June, although the plans to attach the fee to airline fares may be in contravention of a 1944 convention pointed to by the International Air Transport Association, IATA. Thailand's main opposition Phiphat Thai party has taken aim at the test and go foreign tourist entry scheme, which is recording strong numbers initially for applications and approvals in the first week with over 150,000 applications submitted in 8 days. Ms. Ratchakitprakarn, the party's deputy spokesperson, took issue with the fact that foreign travellers were free to travel throughout the kingdom after 1 day, while only being required to return for 1 night to a hotel for a second test on day 5 of the scheme. Ms. Ratchakitprakarn claimed this allows incoming travellers to spread the disease around the kingdom before a second test result. It comes amid rising COVID-19 cases in the kingdom, which the government insisted on Tuesday would begin to level off this week, although top spokeswoman, Dr. Phiphat, maintained that a guarded approach to the situation is important with a spiral in cases in some provinces expected. At the same time, Minister of Public Health Anudin Chanvirakul insists that the country is moving towards an endemic status for COVID-19 this year and putting the crisis behind it. Phiphat Thai Party Deputy Spokesperson, Ratchakitprakarn, Centre, this week, expressed misgivings about the large number of people entering Thailand under the relaunched test and go regime. She warned they are free to travel throughout the kingdom from day 1 to day 5 when a second COVID-19 PCR test is required. It comes as Minister of Tourism and Sports, Phiphat Ratchakitprakarn, has announced a postponement of the 300 baht foreign tourist levy, due to be introduced in April until June this year. Thailand's main opposition Phiphat Thai party has voiced its concern about the government's revised test and go foreign tourism regime, as the number of cases of COVID-19 appears to be increasing in the country, although primarily driven by the Omicron variation of the disease. This comes as the government has made it clear, even over the last 48 hours, that it is moving towards treating the virus as an endemic disease. Status of COVID-19 to be downgraded from the 1st of March, said Public Health Minister Anudin despite reservations from his deputy with rising cases on Monday. Minister of Public Health and Bangkok Party leader Anudin Chanvirakul emphasized that the status of the virus in Thailand was being downgraded as he announced that from the 1st of March 2022, COVID-19 will no longer be a medical condition covered under the country's Universal Coverage for Emergency Patients (UCEP) scheme. This is a change that will affect members of the Thai public, using the government's public health system. It means anyone suffering from the disease will have to register with the hospital where they are recorded for state welfare purposes, if they test positive for the virus, and wish to be covered for associated medical expenses. The government's decision has been questioned by the Deputy Minister of Public Health, Satit Phiphat, a Democrat Party minister. He called for the move to be postponed in the light of rising cases of COVID-19 in recent weeks. Government is guarded but moving to put the pandemic behind it as it predicts lower case numbers. On Tuesday, Centre for COVID-19 Situation Administration spokeswoman, Dr. Phiphat, also underlined the government's resolve to put the COVID-19 pandemic behind it when she announced that the rise in virus cases has been anticipated by experts and that the situation will begin to stabilize shortly. Commenting on Monday's reports of 14,900 new infections and 26 deaths, she revealed that all the fatalities were among people aged 49 to 99 years of age, and that they all had underlying conditions. All of them had underlying illnesses. 14 were unvaccinated. 2 had received 1 vaccine dose. 2 others had their second dose more than 4 months ago. 2 had already received their third dose, but had not reached the time when their immunity would peak yet, she explained. She told reporters that although case numbers had appeared to multiply over the last few weeks or since the start of the year, from this week, they are expected to taper off. Official says wrong to assume Omicron is less severe. However, she insisted that the government was still on guard against the disease, and also took issue with the popular view that the Omicron strain of COVID-19 was less severe. There is also underlying concern about a predicted increase in the number of patients who will require respirators in the next few weeks as several provinces in the kingdom are struggling with a spike in infections. We can't be complacent yet, she commented. it would not be correct to conclude that Omicron is less severe. Dr. Apisame said that currently, over 80% of cases in Thailand were of the Omicron strain, with the Delta variant making up the balance. Phiphat Party expresses real concern about large numbers of visitors entering Thailand through test and go and free to travel within the first 5 days. The statement from the Phiphat Party came from Deputy Spokesperson Trichidus Rithada, who highlighted the large number of people who were approved to enter Thailand through the government's Thailand Pass system from the 1st of February to 8th last. She pointed out that 143,902 people had been approved to enter from 154,893 applications. She questioned the arrangement where visitors who include returning Thai nationals to the kingdom are only required to book a hotel on the 5th night of their stay to have a second PCR test for the disease undertaken. Test and go ready for takeoff again, but this time with added baggage, including a second PCR test. The relaunched test and go entry regime is now open to travelers from all over the world and allows potential holidaymakers, visitors and returning Thai nationals to book their entry into the kingdom up to 60 days in advance. Under new rules, a 72-hour advance notice period must be allowed for before entry into the kingdom to avoid confusion and allow for the smooth processing of applications. Call for reintroduction of state quarantine system. Ms. Trichidus warned that the arrangements were not conducive to curbing the spread of COVID-19 in the kingdom because she feared it would let visitors carry the disease all over the country. She also claimed that the government was unable to control the current situation. At the same time, she called for the reintroduction of state quarantine for Thai nationals residing in the kingdom who she said should not have to fund expensive hotel bills to return home. She also called for free antigen test kits for students in school to reduce the financial burden on parents. Foreign tourist levy postponed until June for administrative reasons, says Minister of Tourism, who defended the measure, which includes insurance cover. Meanwhile, the Minister of Tourism and Sports, Phiphat Ratchakitprakarn, has confirmed the introduction of the 300 baht tourism levy for all incoming tourists, which will also pay for basic medical insurance during their stay. Up to 400,000 baht in the event of an emergency in Thailand will be postponed until June this year. He explained that this was to allow legal implementation of the regulation, including a 90-day notice period from its publication in the Royal Gazette, as well as arrangements currently in train with airlines to apply the charge to non-resident foreign nationals who fly into Thailand. Mass tourism to return again in 2021 with 10 million visitors targeted and full insurance cover with arrival levy. Minister Phiphat Ratchakitprakarn, this week, said the 300 baht charge, or approximately $10, compares favorably to other countries and pointed out that the tiny kingdom of Bhutan charges foreign tourists between $200 and $250 a night, while claiming the Indonesian island of Bali also has a charge of $10 while Japan has a charge of $9.25. Imposition of a charge for entry into Thailand may run counter to International Civil Aviation Charter. New Zealand has a charge of $23.94 per person, but this is a visa charge levied for conservation purposes, with both France and Germany applying a rate of $5.71. Spain, which has the largest foreign tourism industry in the world, however, only applies a charge of $2.85. The minister also pointed out that Thailand has lower indirect tax rates than the United States, which applies a charge of 16.25% on hotel and accommodation charges. However, it should be pointed out that Japan's tourist tax is on departure from the country, while the tourist levy in Bali, which was first drafted in 2019, has yet to be put into effect, while the charges in Germany and France are imposed on nightly hotel room charges as a direct tax. There are some concerns that the ministry's proposals for a tourist tax charged by airlines for entry to the country via international air routes also contravenes the 1944 Chicago Convention on International Civil Aviation. This is a point raised in the past by the World Aviation Body, the International Air Transport Association, IATA, concerning proposed national tourist charges on entry to any country.